Hello, everyone. This is Dr. I here, AI. Welcome to another weekly live streaming show hosted by me. And for those of you who don't know, I have been going live doing weekly free live training here since the beginning of this year. And so I'm really excited to be here with you guys again to talk about something that is personal, dear, and close to my heart, which is my own struggles with education and what parents can do about this. And if you are here, let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me, everything. And I also yeah, should be better. Now I just selected the correct microphone, so you should be able to hear me better. So if this is the first time you hear me speak, my name is Dr. AI. I am the person behind Classroom Without Walls and a former college professor. And nowadays I work as a career and life coach, working with teenagers and young adults to really help them reclaim confidence, reclaim motivation, and reclaim their direction for life so that they can have real life success. Okay. So, in today's training, I want to share with you my own struggles with education. And oftentimes, when you Google my name, Dr. AI, Edison Zhang on social media, you are going to see titles like TED speaker, best-selling author, award-winning educators, and what else? And working with different companies like Adobe, things like that. So when you see something like that, you would assume that I myself had the perfect education, straight A students, things like straight A students, things like that. But that is definitely not the case. So in today's live training, I'm really going to be vulnerable with you guys and share with you all my personal struggle, but I'm not going to stop there as I share my personal struggles with education. And I want to share some important implications that you can apply at home so that I hope the intention for me to come here being so vulnerable with you guys. And I'm also going to share some personal pictures that I do not typically share on social media, but the intention behind today's training is that you can learn from the mistakes that I made, that my parents made, so that your children are not going to go through the same struggles to have the success that they deserve. Okay. So I have 5 points that I want to share with you. At any point, feel free to ask me any questions in the chat box. Okay. So the first struggle I want to share with you is I'm going to have it here, which is about academic performance. Okay, my first point is grades are not everything. And this is something that I wish I learned when I was a student. My parents, my teachers, this is something I mentioned in my TED talk, which is doctor, lawyer, or failure, right? So in my community, there's so much pressure that you need to earn not only A plus, not only for few subjects, but almost for every single course. So I grew up with the impression that grace is everything. And that's why, with that, I worked really, really hard. And you are going to hear some of my personal struggles at the cost of this pursuit of excellence, and how my mental health actually struggled as a result of that. But growing up, this was my intention to earn the highest grade in every single course, every single semester, every single year. And but later I quickly learned that what got me the success that I had as a student is not necessarily the same thing that will help me have the success that I want to have in real life. So I want to actually made a very simple slide and that I want to share with you. So this is what I created, and I want to make sure that you guys can see this. Okay. So grades are not everything. And my biggest discovery is that succeeding at school versus in real life, they require completely different skill set. And another thing which I'm going to share with you later. Okay. So let's first talk about skill set. So what I've learned is that for me, it is so sad. I am 45 years old. Okay. Like I feel like not much has changed in terms of the traditional education. Like I'm talking about my own personal lived experience as an educator. But when I look at the school system nowadays, I feel like not much has changed for most schools on a global scale. Okay. So when you look at school, I feel like to succeed at school, the skill set, some of the skill sets are you must be really obedient, right? Do not question authority. Just listen to the teacher and this is something we hear a lot commonly, follow instructions, right? Just do what I tell you to do. And oftentimes, when I was a college professor, well, the questions that my students asked me a lot was, Dr. Hai, what do you want? Just tell me what you want, and I will give you exactly what you want, right? So I hear that a lot. And you know what? That is an important skill to succeed at school. You must be obedient. You must follow instructions. You must cannot figure out the teacher. You must give them what they want so that you can get the A plus, whatever you need to be a good student. But quickly in life, especially since I quit my job as a college professor, started to run my own business, I also failed some businesses. And I have learned that a very important skill that really helped me get to where I am today is curiosity. And I feel like curiosity is something that the traditional educational system does not make an effort to foster. Again, this is not the fault of our teachers. We have incredible, amazing teachers, but it is really the system because the system has an agenda. The system doesn't really give the teachers lots of room to foster curiosity, to have discussions and debates, especially topics that are not covered in the text, in the curriculum. But that is how we stay curious, and curiosity is such an important skill. Like for me, my curiosity really inspired me to ask important questions, to see things that I normally don't see, right? So that is a really important skill. And in addition, there's another one here, which is my ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. I feel like traditional schooling, we give our students this impression that you just need to learn everything while you are at school and then your life will be taken care of. I think that is obsolete. That belief is so outdated. You know why? Especially, I don't know how many of you I actually follow the news. Last week, there is generative AI, right? AI tools, open AI. You can actually enter a text and actually get a video. I was like, wow, that is pretty amazing. So many of the things that our students are learning, being so obedient, following instructions, they are learning. But by the time the skills they have learned and the knowledge they have learned will likely to become obsolete by the time they graduate. But I hope you can see, right? As succeeding at school and in real life, they really require different skill set. And if I allow myself to really elaborate on this topic, I can give you a lot more differences. Okay. But that is one category I learned. And I really worked really hard to succeed at school, but I learned nothing. How should I prepare myself to succeed in real life? That's really why I created my own coaching program at Classroom Without Walls. This is something that I wish I had when I was a student. When I was working so hard to earn all the A's, I wish someone had a conversation with me to tell me the differences and to coach me to develop the skills that can also help me succeed in real life. And the second one is mindset. When you succeed at school, many people have this, you must succeed forward. Okay, so school, the only way for you to go from one grade to another grade is that you must pass the course, you must succeed forward, right? So traditionally, and we punish failures, we punish mistakes. I have never met, I have worked with almost 3,000 students at this point in my career. I have never met a single student who was very excited that, hey, you know what? I made a mistake. That was a good mistake. I'm so proud of myself. Most students, when it comes to failures and mistakes, they feel bad. They don't want to be punished. They're so afraid of losing a point. So school conditions us to believe that learning has become equivalent to losing a point, earning a point. And learning has become equivalent to this belief that failures are bad, mistakes are bad. If I get an F, a B, a D, a C minus in my class, that is almost like committing a crime. Okay. But please do understand, I'm now using that as an example to encourage your children to not work hard. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is how the system is conditioning a specific type of mindset. And after so many years of conditioning, no wonder by the time they graduate from college, they do not have the muscle, right? Which is in real life, to really succeed in real life, you need resilience. How do you build resilience? You must fail. It is sad that so many students have never actually failed in their life. And I actually was at a birthday party, I think last Saturday. And me and my husband, we homeschool. So we got this conversation, engaged in this conversation with a number of friends who send their children to a really nice a private school, to a really nice public school, very good school district in DC. Okay. And so they told me, and we're talking about grade inflation. They were telling me that nowadays earning an A is like a standard practice. Very few students nowadays actually get a B. If you get a B, it's like, oh my God, something is wrong. Let me know if you see that as well at your children's own school district. But that is what my friends told me. And so with that, right, if we're conditioning our children to must earn an A, how are they going to build their resilience? And how can they build their resilience without failure, right? Like I read so many books like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, like so many successful people. And it is almost a guarantee in all of those books, there's going to be one chapter or at least one, like what, a few pages dedicated to failing forward. Okay. So if this is like, and I learned this from my own real life experience to get to where I am, to grow my business, to continue to get to a new level, to push myself, I must be able to fail. So my own journey is literally failing forward. And then when I look at school is you must succeed forward. And you can really see the gap. If I never learned how to fail while I was a student, how do I even build that muscle, right? That's why nowadays students are so fragile. Like a small thing can really destroy their confidence, right? So the last category, which is action steps. The school has a clear like roadmap, right? You go to this class, you year one, first semester, you do this, and that. Second semester, uh, third year, everything is mapped out for you. You don't have to think. The curriculum is designed for you. The sequence is designed for you. You know exactly what you need to do in order to get to the next level. But let me ask you, my friend, is that how we work in real life? Absolutely no, right? So real life has no clear roadmap whatsoever at all, especially nowadays with AI, technology, so much uncertainty. Like, it's just like there's so many things we don't know. The uncertainty level is really high, and But then when you think about it, if our students never learn how to navigate in uncertain situations, where do they gain that muscle? How do they develop that specific? I'm sorry, got too excited. Give me a second. Okay. I think also I just had dinner. So something. So, right. So if I school, everything is so like clearly mapped out. They don't even need to think much. They just need to follow the instructions, be really obedient, and their life, at least the schoolwork, is taken care of. But in life, you really have to figure out your own path with AI, technology, all the disruptions. And this is especially the case if your kid wants to be become a creator, wants to become an entrepreneur, wants to be in the business technology space. One thing for sure is everything's changing on a daily basis, right? So I hope, this is really my biggest discovery. And I came to this realization after like so many years at school. I realized my skills are really strong in terms of surviving school or maybe even succeeding at school. But my own skills, my own mindset are so weak when it comes to having real life success. So the question for parents, for you to think about is, right? And do you want your children to have real life success, or do you want your children to have success at school? Right? If the answer is both, which I think you should, right? If school is really important to you, if earning all the A's are very important to you, then you must supplement outside the classroom to help your children develop the skill set, the mindset, the action steps that they need to succeed in real life, knowing that those three categories that I highlighted for you are not likely to be developed through traditional school education. So that is my very first point. And let me know if this makes sense. Hi, James. So great to see you, my friend. And that is my first takeaway. Okay. And then my second takeaway is, okay, this may blow your mind away. Okay. And this is also the second reason, is also the part that I'm going to go personal, going to go vulnerable with you. Okay. Here. So the second struggle or realization I learned that's really relevant to parents today is I learned the danger of high achieving environment. Okay. So when I say that, this is going to blow your mind away, because for many parents, when it comes to our own children's education, our immediate response is that I want to send my kid to the best school district, right? Public school, or let's figure out the best like a private school, like really rigorous, things like that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, because as parents, we want to provide the best for our children. But are you guys willing to listen to a different perspective? And this is something, again, I speak from my personal experience, and this is also documented by research. Okay. And by the way, if you are resonating with everything I'm talking about right now, I highly recommend that you sign up for my this one. You sign up for my free training, and that's the link here on the screen, in which you can watch my free training. And I talked a lot about some of those topics, and I also discussed and shared the framework that we use at Classroom Without Walls. Okay, so let me talk about my the second point, the danger of high achieving school environment. Okay. So I want to share with you this study. I don't know how many of you have ever heard of this. So a biologist study of super chickens. And so what they did is that, so let me bring you to the specific study. And so it's a very interesting, and this one also has a TED talk. And so what they did is that a biologist, they want to study chickens and they want to study their productivity. And so what they did is that they separated the chickens into two groups. One is the average one in terms of how many eggs they're laying, measured in like their chickens productivity, right? Like it's very interesting how they measure the productivity level of chickens, which is so different from human productivity. So they measure chickens productivity in terms of how many eggs they lay. Okay. And so they did that and they separate the chickens into two different groups. One is the super chicken in the sense that they have a very high productivity rate, and then they have an average group of chickens, meaning that they do not have a high productivity rate. Okay, and they followed those chickens for 6 generations. Okay, that's a long time. And guess what happened? What happened to their productivity? You would think that the super chickens actually become the big boss. Okay, but that is actually not the case. Look, not so much. And what they did discover is that the average group of chickens, they actually become stronger. Their productivity level actually increased. And the super chicken group, guess what happened? They ended up killing each other, attacking each other, and literally killed each other. And only 3 chickens survived after 6 generations. The implication, like, isn't this crazy? The implication is very profound. Don't we all have such a super chicken environment at school, right? In terms of how do we measure our own children's productivity? How many AP classes? How many A's? How many clubs? Like, I'm guilty of this myself. Okay, please do not make this mean that, oh, I'm just like such a sage. I got this whole thing figured out. I will share with you. It is way easier for me to talk about this than actually implement this on my own kids. Okay. But this study is an eye-opening study, right? So we have this super chicken environment. In fact, research has shown that, this one is published in Washington Post. Students who actually attend schools in high achieving district, they are now named as an at risk group. Those kids who are attending high achieving schools, they have the same level of mental health issues as children whose parents are in poverty, foster care, and prison. Okay, so you are more than welcome to check out the study. If you need the link, and please reach out to me. And if you do an easy Google research, you will find that this is the Wall Street article I just shared with you. Students in high achieving schools are now named an at risk, right? The same thing. Students in high achieving schools are now named an at risk group because of the level of mental health challenges they have. And the same level of challenges compared to, as I mentioned earlier, children whose parents are in foster care, prison, and another condition, right? So it is the toxic consequences, right? So even though we have the intention, the good intention, I want to send my kid to a to a really good private school, public school, good school district. What we don't realize is, what I discussed here on the board, the danger of high achieving here. Right. So what I have on the board here, the danger of high achieving environment. And this again, it's not to say that we should not send our kids to like a really good school. Feel free. If you can do it, do it. Right. But what I'm saying is that you need to be aware of this. If your kid is indeed attending a high achieving school, you need to spend you need to do even more compared to children who are attending an average public school in terms of building your children's resilience. And this is exactly what I do with my own students at Classroom Without Walls, to really work on their mindset, to process rejections, to process failures, so that they do not create an identity out of what happened for themselves. Okay. And I myself, full disclosure, and I went to a high achieving school when I was young. And I wanted my parents to do this to me because at the time I'm naive. I didn't know this, but I will share with you. This is what happened to me, and this is my vulnerable moment. Okay, so please be kind. So this was me, and when I was a high school student, and I got an eating disorder. I was in a very extremely competitive, high achieving school. Okay, and I actually transferred from an average school to a really top school. Okay, so at this particular school, and every time when we had an exam, and they will rearrange the chairs in the classroom based on your performance. So if you get an A, you will be sitting in the front row. If you get an F or D, you will be sitting in the back row. So everything's rearranged based on your performance. So every time after an exam, you will be rearranged again. So you can physically see who is the good student, who is the bad student. Okay, so like even though I feel like I wasn't really good, it's just like because everybody is just way too smart. So as a result of that, remember the super chicken environment. It was so competitive. I felt I had no friends, and my parents, my teachers, everybody was just constantly asking, like, how many A's, and really my self worth is tied was tied to my academic performance. As a result, and I really struggled with the eating disorder for 4 years, my friend, my entire high school. And because everything else was out of my control, right? I couldn't control my parents. I couldn't control what's on the exams. I couldn't control anything. The only thing I could control was food. And I didn't realize that at the time, but I just stopped eating. So I had that and school stress. I really struggled at I got like bullied. I have like body image issues. when you when you are that thin, right? People can also bully you. So I had that, no confidence, social anxiety. I really felt like a failure. I absolutely hated my life. Okay, I just hated my life. And I definitely had suicidal thoughts. I felt shame, guilt, anger, so much emotion. And I just can't believe I stayed like that for 4 years. Again, that's really why I feel really inspired and to do what I do today, so that nobody will go through what I went through to have success. But that was a result of me attending a high achieving school. Okay. And then I want to bring to my third point, right? So really be aware of the danger of high achieving school. If your kid is attending a high achieving school, you need to provide even more mental support to make sure they are surviving everything. Okay. And the third point I want to share with everyone is, and this is highly relevant to parents. And shaming does not work. Okay. Well, this is hard to talk about, right? And parenting is hard. Okay. And if you look at all the titles I have, a PhD, award-winning educator, TED speaker, best-selling author, this, and that. I have to say, the hardest title is not my PhD, it's not my master degree, it's actually being a mom. I'm being tested on a daily, on hourly basis, especially me and my husband, we homeschool our kids. It is hard. Okay. So one thing I will share with you is that shaming does not work. It is so easy to do. When I say shaming, things like parents, we can say things like, "Oh, I'm so disappointed in you. I, I, I invested so much in you. I sent you to the best school." What's wrong with you? Why can't you do this? Like, you're such a loser. You're such a failure. I'm so disappointed in you. And I would like punish by taking away things they enjoy. And I categorize all of them into the category of like shaming. Shaming does not work. When you look at my own eating disorder, like, and one reason, one of the many reasons that I got there was shame. And when I was sitting in the back of the classroom because of my school performance, you know what? I don't need my teachers to tell me what an awful job I did. I don't need my parents to tell me, oh my God, you need to do better. I know it. I already felt ashamed of myself. And I don't need anyone outside me to remind me how ashamed they are of me, right? Again, I'm not saying this to criticize my teachers, to criticize my parents. They didn't know any better. And I know this. And I'm pretty sure there are times I said such awful things about my own children, right? But I want to use myself as the example to remind you shaming doesn't work. In my coaching program, and I work with children who don't have any motivation, who don't really have much confidence, who don't know what they want to do in their life. You know what they all share in common is that they are stuck in shame. They are stuck in guilt. They are stuck in disappointment in themselves. They want to change, but they are so burdened by shame that they literally cannot do anything about their life. So, parents, if you can, stop shaming your children. And I will share this with you. I think this is something I mentioned quite a few trainings ago. And when you look at this is the emotional frequency chart. The lowest emotion is shame. And the energy corresponding to shame is contraction. What is contraction? That is shrinking, that is hiding, that is isolation. The more you shame your kid, or the more your kid is being shamed by their teachers, school environment, whatever, neighbors, or themselves, whoever is shaming them, but the more they are in that emotional state, the more they shrink, the more they contract, the more they isolate. They will only enter this energy to expand, to grow, to get out of their current situation when they learn to love, accept who they are. So a big part of what I do when students join my programs that I literally move them up on this emotional scale. And I see so clearly once they move up, learn to accept who they are, learn to love who they are, and their motivation is a lot easier to be reclaimed and confidence in everything. So let me just say this: shaming does not work. And I don't know if you know this or not, research has also suggested that every time when we criticize our children, and research has also shown that permissive parenting does not work. So this is not to say that everything your kid is doing is like, yeah, everything's fine. You are the big boss. You can do whatever you want. That is also wrong. And this is what makes parenting so hard. Like, how do you draw that line, right? But I will tell you, research has also suggested permissive parenting doesn't work. And so you have to be the authority, right? You have to tell your kid what is right, what is wrong. And research like also shown that shaming doesn't work. And research has also suggested like an ideal ratio, which is that every criticism must be followed by 6 compliments. So 6 or 7. So that is the ratio, 1 versus 7. And that is how damaging criticisms are, right? And so every time when you say something negative about your kid, that has to be followed by 6 or 7 compliments. I don't know about you. I can't do that. Right? Especially when you are being triggered. And that's why it makes, like specific certain exercises is really, really important. Okay. That it's almost like a separate topic, but just know that shaming does not work. Okay. Yeah, and I see that in my students all the time. And I have only 2 more points left. And then point number 4 is more schooling is not the solution. Okay. And this is something I learned from my own struggle with education. I don't know if you can. Oh, you can still see it. Yeah. So more schooling is not the solution. And when you think about it, the reason that your teenager, young adults get to where they are, they really struggle with lack of confidence. They don't feel good about who they are. They have no motivation. When you really think about it, how did they get to where they are? School. School is a big reason that they lost their motivation. School is a big reason that they lost their self esteem. School is a big reason that they lost their confidence. So, do you think more of the same thing will help them reclaim their lives? Not really. And I made that mistake when I was struggling with my eating disorder, when I was struggling with, like, I don't feel good about myself. And I did something so, one of my biggest regrets. So I asked my parents to transfer me from a pretty good school to a top high achieving school because I thought at this school I wasn't feeling good about myself. If I went to a better school with more super achievers, my life will be better. Like, I don't know what I was thinking at the time. It did the opposite. It completely shattered my confidence, completely shattered my motivation, and pushed my eating disorder to a new level of it was not good, right? So learn from my mistake. If your kid is struggling, all right, they don't feel good about who they are, they feel so lost, they feel so confused, they are playing video games a lot, they are isolating, they are hiding, they are using all sorts of coping mechanisms to stay away from reality. That is a signal. Do not give your kid even more schooling because even more of the same thing will make them become even more stuck in where they are. Okay. And the perfect explanation for this is this quote from Albert Einstein that I really, really love. He said that you cannot solve a problem from the same consciousness that created it. You must learn to see the world anew. And that's exactly what I'm talking about right now. More schooling is not the solution to your children's challenges and real life success. You must use a new system. You must think outside the box, which is what I have created at Classroom Without Walls. When I through all of my coaching calls with my students, it is a new system. And I don't give them more exams. We don't do more crazy things like that. I created a totally different system to help them solve the problem from a new consciousness, from a new perspective. And so there's that. I hope this is making sense. And the last point I want to share is this. Look at my notes. And this one is really highly relevant to parent. This is something that I'm working on nowadays myself. And let me see if I okay. Hold on. So okay, you can't really see that well, but number 5 is the well-being of the primary caretaker of your children makes a huge difference. And there are studies that have shown that when parents, whoever is the primary caretaker for the kid, when this person is happy, is doing well in life, their children, believe it or not, their academic performance actually improves even though they didn't spend longer hours studying, tutoring, whatever. So it is really tied to the well-being of the primary caretaker. So if you are mom, if you are dad, if you are the primary caretaker for your kid, start working on yourself because your happiness, your well-being, how your emotional state, where you are in life, how satisfied you are with your life, how happy you are, your overall emotional state literally affects the not only the well-being of your children but their academic performance. This is well documented by research. When I first discovered this body of research, I was really shocked. And I'm like, but the more I do this work, it makes so much sense to me. So in my coaching program, one thing I do besides working with the students, and I also empower the parents. I also do one-on-one coaching calls with the parents. And oftentimes I tell the parents, do something that can bring your joy, right? Focus on you. Do not put all of your attention, 100% of your attention on your kid. This is going to give your children so much more stress, even though the intention is good. You want to be this good mom, you want to be this good dad. But what I've learned is that in spite of our good intentions, oftentimes we don't know how to love our kids. Let me know if you can relate. I feel like my own parents, they don't know how to love me. And I think I probably also made the mistake myself. And I'm still learning. I'm learning how to love my own children. Like, I think this is a life, I think this is what makes parenting so hard, because this is such a lifelong journey. And that's why I highly recommend parents get coaches so they can be supported. They can work through their own stress, their own challenging situations, their own triggers, so that their own well-being is not affecting their children's, right? And I want to share this with you. And this is especially the case. Okay, let me just say this. And this is especially the case if you have younger children. Like in my home, right in my house right now, our youngest kid is only 2, and it is so fascinating. And I didn't notice this about my other. So my oldest is 12, my middle kid is 9. I didn't notice this about my other 2 kids, but with my youngest right now, I'm seeing this so clearly. Every time when I am mad, my baby literally comes to me and asks me, "Mommy, are you mad? Are you okay?" And I can see such a tight connection between my own emotional well-being and his own happiness. So what happens for young kids like 3 to 1 years old, like babies, and they will interpret their parents' unhappiness as a result of them doing something wrong. They will internalize our unhappiness as their fault. So imagine how that will affect our children's like future life. They are going to be messed up, right? So as much as we care about our own children, our own emotional well-being also matters. And this is why I'm working on this myself. And I will just end today's training by sharing this by sharing this quote with all of you. And this is the last one. And feel free to take a screenshot. Okay. It's not just about the mom, also dad. So the greatest gift a parent can give to their kid is his or her own happiness. To really ponder and really think about this, the greatest gift a parent can give to their children is their own happiness. So let me ask you, are you happy? By work on yourself, find your own support, work with coaches, and take care of yourself so that your children can also benefit from this. And the younger your kids are, like in my example, and the sooner you can really see the connection, your own emotional state versus your children's happiness, and eventually as they grow older, their academic performance. Okay. And so that is everything I have prepared for you guys today. And I would love to do a quick summary. But meanwhile, before I do the summary, I want to also mention that I do free one-on-ones, like free consultation with parents. If you are resonating with everything I mentioned so far, and you want to have a chat with me free of charge, you want to see how our approach, our system can help you, can help your teenager or young adult reclaim their lives, feel free to use the link on the screen and book a call with me. Okay. Parents who have completed this call with me, they all told me that, Dr. I, it is the best 1 hour or 20 minutes or like they have ever invested in their children. And today I chatted with the 2 parents Oh my God, each of the conversation lasted, I think, an hour and a half. But both parents told me it is the best 90 minutes they have ever invested in their kid. There's no pressure whatsoever. I will listen to you and offer free advice to your kid if I can help. And if there's a good fit, and if you love what we do, will work. And if not, I would recommend some other programs to your kids. But okay, whatever. So if you are interested, use the link on the screen and book a call. Okay. So to summarize today's training, and I shared my own struggles with education, especially in the K-12 years, and things definitely became a lot better from undergraduate to graduate school. But K-12, man, I struggled, right? So I shared 5 takeaway with you. And I really, as I shared my takeaway with you and my own struggles with you, I also shared frameworks with you. And I hope you can learn a thing or two from my own struggles. The intention behind today's training is to make parenting easier for you, to help you raise more successful, more resilient children. Okay. So point number 1, we discussed grades are not everything. And what I talked about is to succeed at school versus succeeding in real life, you need 2 different sets of skills, mindset, and action steps. Okay. Number 2 is the danger of high achieving environment. If you are sending your kid to a private school, highly competitive, and make sure you spend lots of time working with your kids, talking with them about mindset, really help them build that muscle. Remember my own eating disorder story. And number 3, relevant to parents, shaming does not work. And we discussed the emotional frequency chart. And number 4, more schooling is not the solution. On the contrary, schooling is what got your kid in their challenging situation in the first place. So more of the same is not going to help them solve their problems. You must classroom without walls. The best education happens outside the classroom. You must apply a different approach to solve those problems. And number 5, which is our last point, we discussed the well-being of parents and how your own joy, your own happiness has a direct positive influence on your children's academic performance. The happier you are, the more emotional stable you are, the more the better they will perform, your children will perform in terms of their academic career. Okay, so those are the 5 takeaways, and I hope you enjoy today's training. And if you love this, please send me a message. And because I do spend lots of time thinking about things that I want to share with you, and I want to make sure that 15 minutes of pure value, right? So if you are loving this, give this a heart, give this a share, and send me a message. Tell me, hey, I really enjoy that, or let me know and what else you would love to learn more about. And if you are resonating with everything I mentioned so far and want to schedule a chat with me, a one-on-one conversation with me, use the link on the screen to reach out. Okay. So thank you so much. And I will be doing another training on the coming Thursday, same time, same location. And I hope to see you again. If there are specific topics you want me to talk about, so please message me and send me, please message me and send me a note. Hey, Bobby. Thank you so much. See you next week. Bye.